Welcome to Let's Live Clean, the podcast that shares the best sustainable living tips and advice from pioneers across the spectrum. This series, we will be diving into waste and how we can turn it to our advantage, from wasted connections to wasted opportunities, but today we're looking at wasted space. But first, we have no time to waste in this episode. I'll be speaking to George and Larry Lamb, the father and son duo, who are helping Ecover break the cycle of wasteful dishwashing habits that fuel a feeling of discontent in homes across the country. My name is Georgina Wilson-Powell and I'm the author of the best-selling book, Is It Really Green?, which is full of the best ways to solve everyday eco-dilemmas. And in line with today's episode, when I've given talks or spoken at events, the eco-dilemma in the book that's always the most contentious is the dishwasher. Is the mighty dishwasher more or less eco-friendly than washing up by hand? And it would seem that the people arguing about this at those events were not alone. A new study from eco-cleaning pioneer Ecover reveals most people, 61%, have disagreed, fallen out or had a full-blown argument over their household appliance. More than half, 51%, have clashed with their significant other over their strategy to stack the dishwasher or lack of it. Amazingly, or maybe this is your experience, these disagreements have real consequences for people and their relationships. A fifth of people have stopped talking to someone over dishwasher disagreements, and a similar number have gone on strike, refusing to ever stack the dishwasher again. 1 in 10 have even been driven to question whether they want to carry on living with the person. And in case you're wondering, the dishwasher does come out on top in terms of using less water and energy than washing up by hand, when you stack and load it properly and depending on the tablets you use. And to help, Ecover have launched Tetris Fully Loaded, a reissue of the 90s classic stacking blocks game reinvented as a dishwasher. You can play, stack and crucially see who's better at it in your family or amongst friends at ecover.com. I'm so excited to speak to our guests today. Here to tell us more about Tetris Fully Loaded and their sustainable habits at home are George and Larry Lamb. You'll of course know Larry for his roles in EastEnders and as Gav's wonderful dad in Gavin and Stacey. Alongside a successful screen and stage career, he supports environmental and social causes. With his son George, he champions regenerative farming through Wildfarmed, promoting soil health and biodiversity. And his son George is a British presenter, entrepreneur and environmental advocate. Known for hosting shows like Big Brother's Little Brother and his award-winning BBC Six music show, he often works with his dad on shows like ITV2's The Parent Trip and Channel 5's Britain by Bike. More recently, George co-founded Wildfarmed, a company championing regenerative agriculture featured on Amazon Prime's Clarkson's Farm. His bio now reads Regen Hype Man, and that's exactly why we want his input today on how a simple thing like dishwasher tablets can help us waste less at home. Welcome to Let's Live Clean, Larry and George. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing?
Very good to see you.
Nice to see you, George.
I know it's going to get confusing with two Georges, but we'll muddle through.
We will.
And obviously today we want to talk about the most pressing topic, dishwashers. A few years ago, I wrote a book called Is It Really Green?, which tackled the biggest eco-dilemmas in your home. And the most contentious one always in the book, or whenever I was talking to people about it, was the dishwasher. I know that's what you guys have been working with lately. What have you been learning?
Well, I mean, so the report that I'm sure you're well aware of has highlighted something I think we all know, is that over half the households in the UK have had fallouts over the way dishwashers are stacked. I would think that it's unlikely that the kind of underlying reason was that they were worried about the dishwasher not being fully efficient. I think it's more just people being pedants, basically. And so, people just don't like things done. People like things the way they like them done. Basically.
Absolutely.
Now, it turns out that the way my dad naturally would stack a dishwasher is, unfortunately for me, from an energy perspective, a more economical way of doing things, or a more environmentally savvy way of doing things. I'm more of just like, I'm usually in a rush. I might rinse or scrape a bit. I chuck it all in there. I get the job done. I probably have to clean my filter a bit more than Dad cleans his filter. As far as I'm concerned, it's all right. However, I get it, and I get why people are very kind of precious about it. And also, if the upside of people being precious about the dishwasher is it's more environmentally friendly, then that can only be a good thing.
That's it. And that's what I say, because I took a long time to switch from hand washing to machine washing, but I began to realise, no, the way I was doing it, which I always thought was the proper way to do it, was far less efficient and not nearly as good for the world. And so I've switched over, and as I'm old and semi retired, I've got more time for pedantry and for poking holes in what anybody does. So it all fits well for me.
It's a win-win for you, isn't it, Larry?
That's it. It is.
Yeah. I was going to ask you which one, because there's a meme, isn't there, at the moment, do you stack a dishwasher like a raccoon or an architect? But it sounds pretty clear which one is which in the Lamb
No question about it.
Definitely the architect. And George, how does that feel that actually Dad's way is better for the planet?
Listen, it's not about me, George. It's about the planet. That's what I've given my life over to for the last 10 years. So, ultimately, if I have to get it in the neck a bit, and the net is positive for the planet,
for the team.
Exactly.
Well done. There's a big heart under there, isn't there?
That's it, mate. That's what it's got to be.
And I mean, we're talking small scale things at the minute, like little domestic habits, like stacking a dishwasher. Do you think that does sort of reveal bigger differences about how different generations approach tasks and approach sustainability and thinking about the planet?
I think the kind of level of environmental literacy is way higher now with young uns coming through. I think the issue still remains that a lot of people don't a lot of people have got into bad patterns and are unlikely to do much unless we make it really easy for them. And so, the reason I started a regenerative food business is because I think that the kind of key touch point in the day for human beings with nature is when they're eating food. Hopefully 2 or 3 times a day, everybody's is eating food. And so we know that the food system now is outside of energy, it's the number one cause of soil degradation, deforestation and biodiversity collapse. We have agency in this. We can do something about this. And so what we've got to try and do is not make the product that's coming out of a regenerative system really hard to get hold of or unaffordable. And so now, Ecover, which has been around 30, 40 years, doing a really good job of beating the drum and getting people to act in a more conscious way, making really good quality products, which these new dishwasher, first plastic-free dishwasher tablets, to come onto the market in the UK, making that available, and making it a price that people can afford to take part in. That's how we're going to change stuff. It's a kind of quantum activism. It's all of us doing a little bit, and the compound of that will start making an impact. Absolutely. That's like bottom-up approach. You start small and it triggers people wanting to do more or get involved or get interested. I was at a conference years ago, a farming conference, all about or compassion and farming, but they were talking about you have 21 votes a week of how you want the future to be, and that's your 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. I just thought it was a really nice way to put it. Yeah, I like what you're saying as well. 21 votes a week. I'm going to write that one down. Yeah, you can have that. You can use that. Yeah. Let's hold it. Don't touch it. Don't touch the pen. The pen's holding the iPad up, so we definitely don't want to pull that out. Okay, please don't touch the tech. Exactly. Just for a few minutes. Don't make a note. I'll send you a note afterwards. Did you guys know much about how much energy and water and stuff the dishwasher used before you started working on this campaign? Is it something you've given thought to? And I know, George, obviously you're thinking at much bigger scale and you're thinking about those food systems and how people eat, but had you actually thought about the other side of it, of the washing up and the water use and the energy use? Because I hadn't till a few years ago. It was just something that lived in my kitchen and did its job. Yeah, but the thing with me was being converted by me standing there with a renewed bowl of water, hot water, and beginning to to understand just how much of it I was using when it was totally inefficient. And I was always waxing lyrical about that was the way to do it. And so I've just had to stop being a Luddite and join with the movement, So I think for me, it's become relevant. That's what it is.
Definitely. People are much more conscious of what they're using. I guess as well with the cost of living and bills going up, people want to sort of be more conscious of how much energy and water they're using as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a thrifty Scottish mother, so you had to turn the lights off every time you left the room and all the rest of it. So I'm
still do now. Yeah. What is this? The Eddystone Lighthouse. You can see this house from miles away.
But there is something in that, isn't there? Like older generations being more eco-friendly almost by default because of those waste-saving moments. The turning the light bulbs off, they're putting a jumper on, not turning the heating on.
Yeah,
I was thinking about, like, even just, you only go back a couple of generations. Our grandparents, there was no waste coming out of their house.
No. Nothing.
Literally,
Nothing was wasted.
You went into a drawer and there'd be, parcel paper would all be folded back into a thing. There'd be little rolls of twine. There'd be rubber bands and whatever you needed. It was like this kind of incredible haberdashery, basically.
Yeah. In my grand's lavatory in the garden, there was a big section of newspaper there nailed into the wall.
Right.
And that's what you used.
Oh, lovely. Oh. Yeah. Well, fortunately, some things have moved on.
Some things have moved on. But I definitely have that drawer that your grandmother had, which saves all the wrapping paper. Yeah, I've grown into that person.
Yeah, great.
Slightly worrying, but very sustainable, obviously. But also talking about the sort of more modern ways of getting people involved, there's also a reissue of Tetris Fully Loaded that Ecover have been working on. How have you guys given it a go?
I've definitely given it a go. So I'm 45 years old. So I was that first generation of Game Boy users came through, and it was just like, it was a new world had arrived into our laps and our hands, and Tetris was the go-to game on that. And I always find it funny, those things where, like genuinely it was like riding a bike. I hadn't played that game for 30 years and went straight back on. I knew exactly all my kind of cheats and the way I like to do things. And if you're looking for, I actually thought it was a really clever bit of marketing. If you're looking for a way to encourage people to do better stacking, there's literally nothing better than Tetris, and like there's only, I can't think of many things that have gamified stacking. And
not many, not that are fun.
No, exactly. So Tetris has done it, and so I really encourage anybody who, if you've never played it, it's a great game. If you played it loads, like, go back, give it a whirl. Like, it's a lovely trip down memory lane.
I also, it was my only game that I had on a Game Boy at some point, because I think we're probably similar age. But before we fall down a retro games rabbit hole, we're going to take just a quick break and hear from Ecover.
I'm already not so sure about this one here.
I don't actually need any backseat drivers. Thank you very much.
Backseat stackers.
So, Dad, do you know that 50% of people in the UK have restacked a dishwasher because they weren't happy with how the other person had done it?
What a surprise.
Oh, here we go. What's wrong with how I do it?
You leave too much space in there, right?
And?
Wasted space is wasted water.
Right.
And that's not good for the planet.
This is true.
And it's no good for our relationship either.
All right, maybe I need that measuring tape after all.
Yes, you do. There you go.
You ready for a stacking challenge?
Are you?
I'm ready, don't worry.
Go on. I'd swap that. That one can move back into the corner a bit. That's it.
House chores, I'd go missing. I remember that.
Wouldn't wash a dish if his life depended on it.
So there we go. That's how you do it.
I wouldn't leave that lying around like that.
All right, how about that?
That's it. That's better.
You think it's good?
It's not bad. There we go. The maestro now.
When it comes to stacking the dishwasher, I think you just got to follow your heart, and just go with the flow. Like, if you feel it and it works and feels like there's space, then there is space.
I mean, the whole thing with stacking it the right way is you're using the machine the way it's supposed to be used. Don't buy a dog and bark yourself.
That's what they say about dishwashers.
That has to go there. Lovely. Well, my number one tip is to make sure you scrape everything off the plates before they go in. And that's it, then it works. There we go.
A lot of difference in the gappage. Yeah, well, it does look neat. I'm proud of you.
That's it. That's us done. Okay, nothing left to do but
put the kettle on.
And you unloading or am I?
No, you're unloading.
Of course I am.
Yeah, I'm going to get myself seated.
Right, typical. See how you stack up by visiting Ecover's website to play Tetris Fully Loaded.
Cool. Let's come back and talk about everything that you're doing, George, because people might recognise you from TV, I'm sure, but you're now a regen hype man for Wildfarmed. Can you tell us a bit about what that is?
Someone came. We had a bunch of people up at the farm. We do these big open days, field days, and this lady, this journalist lady, wrote a report, and she went, you won't find a better regen hype man. And I was like, that's what I am.
That's my Insta bio.
Regen hype man.
Yeah. I've got to lean into it. So yeah, no, we about 12 years ago, I guess, maybe a little bit earlier, I'd had this whole Damascene moment where I'd realised that my star hadn't been called down out of the ether to be a game show host, and so I renounced all worldly goods and went off to the east and went off trying to figure out who I was and what I was doing and why I was doing it. Had a couple of years doing that. Was just about ready, had some great downloads, was ready to come back to London, do George 2.0, see I could be in service. And just as I was coming back, you know what, I thought, God, maybe I'll just have one last summer in Ibiza.
Obviously.
And so I went and I rented a little house in Ibiza. And a couple of weeks into the trip, some friends said, oh, you should come. My mate's DJing. He's a really interesting guy. You should come and meet him. Walked into a nightclub. There was this huge man there, like 6'9" or something like that. And he won't mind me saying this, he looked dreadful, but like not kind of 5-day Ibiza bender dreadful, just actually like man on the edge, existential crisis awful. And so I said the first words I ever said were, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Not really." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I sold my publishing rights and I bought, which is basically your pension as a musician. And I bought a farm down in Gascony where I'm living. And unfortunately, when he bought that farm, he didn't know what he was looking for. So he didn't know to check for the soil organic matter, how much life was in the soil. And after 80 years of conventional maize, which is heavy duty industrial farming and a lot of chemicals, the soil was basically dead. And so he was in this kind of war of attrition, basically, with weeds. He was determined to do it organically. And when I met him, whilst Groove Armada, that was his band, they were called Groove Armada, whilst they were successful, they weren't Oasis. So there was a cap on how long this regenerative experiment could go on for. And so he was doing smash and grabs to Ibiza to earn money. He'd taken a residency. He was on the tractor at 5 a.m. He was in the DJ booth the following 5 a.m. And that was his life for a couple of years, was trying to get some money to prop it up whilst he was figuring it all out. Anyway, very long and winding road, but here we are 12, 13 years later. He's moved back to the UK. We're now a network of 150 regenerative farmers up and down the country. And we're trying to change the food system, and we're trying to figure out how we can grow food differently. How do you do better farming? How do you grow really good quality food in nature-rich landscapes? And yeah, it's going great guns. We're in all the major supermarkets. We're in a lot of the big high street retailers. We sell flour to a lot of the top restaurants in the country. So yeah, it feels like we're having some impact. And
you are, definitely you are. And part of that's the branding. Part of that is it feels really modern. It feels like a movement. It doesn't feel like a farming business from the outset.
That's the thing, unfortunately, for some reason, the whole scene that we're involved in, and now I'm involved in with Ecover, it's been quite stuffy and quite stale, and like it has to be full of life, and it has to be part of the cultural zeitgeist, and it has to be exciting if people, if we're going to draw young, innovative, interesting people towards it, it has to be full of energy, And I'm even down to like just like minor things like look, have you had a box of the new Ecover dishwasher tablet?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Right. But have you seen the precision on that box?
Yeah.
It's like an Apple box, They spent a load of time and effort and energy into that. So the feel of it feels sexy. It feels new. It feels modern. This is a new, and we can't afford for sustainability or regeneration to be a drag.
I absolutely agree. Like it needs to feel like you're part of something, part of a story, part of a narrative that's exciting and is going somewhere, and actually is as up to date as all of our other industries, like you mentioned Apple, the tech world and everything like that. It can't be that stuffy, off-grid,
for sure,
kind of
idea. People don't want that. ultimately what we've got to try and do is how do we integrate the vast majority of people. Of course, there's loads of people who are willing to go and live very differently on the frontiers, and that's amazing. But the vast majority of people want to live in the city and want to keep their life not too dissimilar from how they're running it right now. And so how, rather than kind of othering them and saying you're doing it all wrong, like how can we integrate that, and how can we work our way into that infrastructure?
That's it. It's definitely systematic change that's needed. And I was going to ask actually, because there seems to be quite a lot of similarities between Ecover and Wildfarmed in terms of like you're building sort of vertical supply chains, you're looking at systematic change, you want to do things differently. Has that been quite helpful actually for you to see what they've been doing?
Yeah, no, honestly, we won't, I'm only going to put my name to stuff now. Not that I've got the biggest name in the world or whatever, but like I'm only going to go and put energy and time and resource into stuff that I believe in, that I think's great. And so, like working, I've been an Ecover user long before I've been an Ecover ambassador. And so working with them and hopefully doing more with them, like ultimately it's another side of the same coin. We're all trying to move this thing forward. How can we be a bit more, conscious, and how can we change stuff and how can we do it in ways that are, how can micro kind of actions from all of us add up to something bigger?
I was going to ask as well, like obviously you've had this massive conversion. It feels like soil and regenerative agriculture has brought you back to life. How have you brought the rest of your family in? Like Larry, did you know a lot of this stuff about regenerative agriculture before George got involved?
No, not at all. But fortunately, it was explained to me in a way that was very easy to take on board because of the dynamism of George and his pals, but also the reality of when people start talking to you about 60 harvests left in the world's soil. 60 harvests, when you're an old geezer, you realise you've lived through far more than 60 harvests yourself. So we're talking about my lifetime, and then that's it. It's all going to be used up. It's what the threat is to me that made me want to understand it. And so I've been, out there banging the drum as well.
We've been, the minute we went into our first national retailer was M&S, and I was like, Dad, we did a show years ago called Britain by Bike, and so I called him. I was like, Dad, how do you feel about Britain by Bread? And so basically just dragging him around all the supermarkets, and it's great because but like similarly that you've got to use whatever you can,
I was
and if you've got this national treasure for a dad, like why on earth wouldn't you use it? When we went into Waitrose, when we did our first our own branded line, the Gavin and Stacey announced the Christmas special literally the week before we were going out, and I was like, I cannot believe how good this is. Dad's stock just shot up, and so all of a sudden we had 200 people waiting outside the supermarket to basically come and say hello to him, and I'm just loading them up with bread, going, eat this, it's fantastic. Clarkson's Farm.
I'm sitting out front there selling sandwiches, or not selling, giving sandwiches away. My idea of heaven.
I was going to say, you've got George in the background going, just tell him about the soil. Just tell him about the soil.
Yeah, but so many people really are into it. Particularly, funnily enough, a lot of older people are really into it, and a lot of young mothers are very, very into it. And, I had lots and lots of elderly ladies older than me saying, I don't care. I want to eat good bread. That's it. I want good bread.
Absolutely. I always think gardening and nature is the way to get people involved in more sustainable conversations, because ultimately everyone loves a hedgehog and everyone wants to see flowers and everyone wants to have nice gardens, so you can lead the conversation off, but food's the other one, and especially bread, good bread.
Exactly.
You can't go wrong.
Exactly. Bread that you can live on.
Absolutely. Bread that's good for you, which is another thing. I love that you've got a sort of third career, Larry, as a bread influencer. Can we say that?
No, man, that's it. I used to be something else, and now I'm a bread influencer.
It's a family affair. I love it.
That's it.
Family affair,
it is.
Outside of Wildfarmed and other things that you've been doing, I have to ask, what's the most sustainable thing that you're proud of? Have you changed anything else at home outside of the way you eat and the way you're washing your dishes?
I mean, for me, I think the main thing is that I eat far more sensibly than I ever used to. I'm very aware of everything that I eat now, very aware. And, George is definitely not slow in coming forward or backward in coming forward about telling me if I'm eating something that's rubbish. So rubbish consuming has gone right down, and I eat a very good, interesting variety of foods.
That's amazing.
My one, I'm the same. Like the dishwasher pedant, I'm the recycling pedant. So I'm forever going into going back into the other bins and just kind of holding stuff up and chatting like, "Who's put this in here? This is the wrong one. Why doesn't it?" Yeah. You just see my mouth moving, and people are like, "Oh, that guy, just a lunatic." Just put it
like your mum
with his hands in the bin.
Down at his mum's. And I was putting stuff in the wrong. Oh God Almighty! I tell you.
No.
Seriously, don't want to cross her or George.
Yeah, we'll just put it in the right bin, mate.
It's not difficult.
Yeah.
I love it. You're obviously really popular at home. But that do you try and obviously you mentioned that the dishwasher tablets are the first sort of plastic-free ones that have come on the market. Do you guys try and look for stuff that comes less in single-use plastic? Is that quite a big concern as well at both your households?
Well, so my missus has a recycling company. So I mean, I've got so much plastic in my house you can't imagine it, and it definitely like all of this stuff. I don't think it's just about being conscious of it, and so I don't know how significantly better I am at it all, but I'm certainly more, like the other day, I don't know, I was like moving stuff around, and I put the film lids in the normal bin, and then I put something over then somehow one of the actual little cartons got in the thing, and then I'm rooting around in that bin to find it, because I was like, I feel bad about this, and I shouldn't have been lazy, and I should have gone over there. And that reads across, I just rented a little cottage. I was getting a load of new saucepans, and I'm off, reading the back with the BPAs and the thing and whatever. Just like once you're kind of switched on, once you're awake to it all, it's very difficult to come back, because you do a very good job to argue with anybody, like if they want microplastics in their system, and or any toxic chemicals. So yeah, once you're aware, I think it just it spreads through your life. Even just things like I had a load of stuff in storage that I was getting out for this new cottage, and a lot of it's kind of covered in moss, just like moss larvae, or cocoons or whatever. So then what was a moss home,
There you go.
And so then I'm looking for like non-toxic thing, and you're just like
especially with gardening as well, gardening and farming, like trying to do the right thing. And it's like what we saw in Clarkson's farm, you mentioned it earlier, it's constantly a series of decisions about which is the least bad thing to do.
The least bad. Your whole life becomes about what's least bad. Yeah. And you're just like, what a weird compromise to spend my life making.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's where we are.
That's where you are. I love
Dad.
Yeah.
I love that there's also a recycling expert in the family. This is like every
he's an expert.
aspect.
Expert he is, absolutely.
The expert's expert.
That's it.
I just want to ask you 3 very quick questions.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Larry. Larry, what's one small change that people can make in their kitchen that makes a real difference in terms of sustainability?
When you are putting stuff in the dishwasher, don't do anything other than scrape everything off. Don't go running hot water all over it. Then that defeats the whole object. That's the one thing I've learned.
Scrape. Don't rinse.
That's it.
Scrape only.
That's it.
I love it. Keep it really nice and simple as well. Everyone can manage that.
Yeah.
And George, do you have a suggestion around what people can buy or look for in their products to help the environment?
So yeah, if you're in the supermarket, wherever you're buying products for your house, when you flip it around to the back and you look at the ingredients list, if there's a bunch of stuff you can't pronounce and you can barely read, then it's probably good to steer clear.
That's good life advice.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you what's on the back of Wildfarmed packets, but I'll come back to that. And also, apart from buying the UK's first plastic-free dishwasher tabs, what have you learnt how to make the dishwasher more effective? Obviously, we've talked about scraping. What else can you do?
I can do a much better job of putting it all in an ordered and structured manner, George. That's what I can do.
That's it. He's getting a tape measure for Christmas.
Yeah. And a head torch, you know what I mean? So I can really
get right in there.
That's it. I love how this campaign has really, really gone to town on your stacking abilities.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a really lovely conversation, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
not too taxing.
No, it's great, George. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
What have we learnt today? Well, being honest, being more sustainable is complex, messy, and we all have blind spots. How many of you have thought about the eco impact of your dishwasher? According to Ecover's new Home Eco report, 44% of people will run the dishwasher when it's not full to ensure they have enough clean items. And 37% of people run cycles at times they feel are convenient to them, regardless of the eco impact. Only 35% of Brits use the eco setting more often, even though the eco setting is designed to help save energy, water and money. And actually, just using your dishwasher in the most efficient way, stacking it correctly, not blocking the spray arms, and making sure your rinse aid and salt are topped up, is the best way to use it sustainably. So it's a win-win all round. Think of every stack of dishes as a chance to save a little water, a little energy, and a little money. Stacking better, running a full load, and choosing the eco cycle can all help make a difference. Check for advice on how to rock the crocs and stack like a pro at ecover.com. And that's it from us in this episode of Let's Live Clean. Our new series is all about waste, so we'll be focusing on wasted opportunities, wasted connections, and how not to waste a crisis in the next few episodes. Follow us and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. For more information on anything from today's episode, Ecover's new all-in-one dishwasher tablets, or to have a go at Tetris Fully Loaded, go to ecover.com. See you next time.